Kishma Isaac is the author of Screaming for Your Touch, published in 2021. This anthology of poems is intended to provide a voice for the voiceless, comfort for the vulnerable, a break for the captive, hope for the weary, and company to those who feel alone. Today we welcome Kishma Isaac to learn more about Screaming for Your Touch and her other writing endeavors. Well, first of all, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Second, congratulations on publishing your book, Screaming for Touch.
Thank you.
I do have to say, it's a very interesting title. So apart from being motivated to write it, why that title?
Well, I wrote the book on 3 themes: being in touch with yourself, touching the world, and touched by a higher power. Now, all of these encapsulated give you screaming for your touch. So in being in touch with yourself, you encounter love, longing, sex, and intimacy. You encounter fatigue and frustration. And because no man is an island and no woman is a continent, we need each other. So what legacies are we leaving behind? How do we encounter each other, encourage each other, love each other? And of course, we didn't just appear here. We were created by a most loving and awesome God. And so how is he informing what we do, how we speak, what we think? And so all of that is touch. And so we are all screaming for touch.
Okay, I'm feeling it. How about you?
Definitely. So what has the response been like since your book has been out?
Well, it has actually been great. They said that they love the way it feels in terms of being real and down to earth. They can relate to it. They said that sometimes it makes them cry, it makes them burst out into laughter. And they love the way that it has a spiritual aspect as well as a sexual aspect. Don't read erotica. They also love the fact that, it speaks to education and empowerment. So they really enjoy it.
Was it difficult for you to write? Did you have to take a look in the mirror and make sure that you were expressing exactly what you wanted to in that moment?
No, actually, writing comes to me very easily. When I was growing up, it was actually then difficult for me to articulate loudly what I wanted to say, how I felt, what I wanted to express. And therefore, the pen became my voice and the blank page is my freedom. And I started writing. The feelings, the emotions, the words, they just came out. And really, poetry and writing and speaking is the mind in the open. And so I began writing and it just flowed naturally, really.
I like your voice. I must say you almost sound like you're preaching to us. So I like that raspiness in your voice. So do you preach?
Oh, yes. Not on the pulpit, but every Monday morning I do devotionals and I am collating them in my book that is called Divine Sparks Daily Devotionals that I'm working on right now. I'm also working on 2 other books, Teaching Beyond the Classroom. That's because for me, teaching is a ministry. You don't just have children before you. You have lives that are being molded. So other than the mathematics, the language arts, the science, and the social studies, what values am I teaching them? When they leave my classroom, do they have respect for themselves, for others? What kind of persons do they become? A matter of fact, Alani was my student. I taught her at Sandy Point Primary at the grade 2 level. And she was quite impressed that I remember who she was. She was this cute, adorable, amazing person. And I still think that she is. And so as teachers, we have to really look at what we're bringing to the table, how we live, what we say, because they look up to us as examples, and we have to be that example, that powerful example that they can look back at and say, that's my teacher.
Oh, wow.
I want to be like him or her.
I feel that.
I want to know if there are any linkages between Screaming for Your Touch, the spiritual part of that, and what you have, the content of that book on teaching.
Yes, there's definitely linkage between it. The spiritual aspect, as I earlier said, without God, we are like aimless zombies. We're walking around, doing what we want, going nowhere fast. And so God really charters for our lives, our purpose. And just the other day, I wrote a devotional that encapsulated who we are, and we are royalty. You're royalty.
We
I'm
are.
royalty.
We
Why?
are.
Because God is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and so we have to walk in that royalty. And I taught that to my students. We have quotes that I do every morning, and I teach them about how to be like God. I also showed them my book and told them that you can do anything once you put your mind to it. In my classroom, excellence is the goal. Okay, the poem that I'm going to read for you this morning, it's a twofold poem. It's really the way of love. So it's quite fair and it isn't fair. I'll read It Isn't Fair. It isn't fair. It isn't fair to love someone who loves you not at all. Nor is it fair to die for one who cares not if you fall. Oh no, of course, it isn't fair for you to crave so much and cherish greatly, so very dear, one whose love you haven't got. Could it be fair to keep alive a love of no return? It isn't fair to make it thrive and let yourself be burned. Unfair it is to hurt yourself and heed not to let go. Unfair to love somebody else whose love for you can't grow. The end.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That is the kind of thing that I would have to read over and over again, and I can imagine the readers would be thinking this book never gets old.
Yes, because really we have to value ourselves. We have to love ourselves, and we have to know what is best for us. Yes, we appreciate others. We ensure that we are not hurting others, but we must also love ourselves. The commandment says, love others as yourself. So you have to value who you are. And so you should be it should be quite fair when you're in love.
Right, what can you tell us now about the poem that bears the title of the book?
Screaming for Your Touch. That poem really is a love poem that I wrote because I was missing the one that I love. He went far away. And so I was really penning to express that to him, that I couldn't wait to meet him again. And so I was screaming for his touch, not only physically, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually.
Deep, very, very deep, I must say. My train of thought just lost me. I had a question.
All right, I'll commit. Is this the kind of book that anyone can read?
Yes, it is. However, for children who are maybe under the age of adolescence, I'll say keep away from sex and intimacy. Not that it is a problem, because God created sex, and therefore it is good for us to enjoy under the right circumstances, of course. But it can be read by anyone. It can be an educational tool. When I was in college, I was tasked with writing a poem about Brimstone Hill. And so there's a poem in there about Brimstone Hill. There's a poem about children experiences during early childhood. And there are poems about teachers, who teachers are. Teaching is my superpower, by the way. And yes, so that is in there. And poems about love. Children, young adults need to understand what love is all about. You know, love can be confusing. It can be heart-wrenching. It can be exciting and fun and passionate. And there are poems about God that would, take you down to the basement to just reflect and relax and think about the Almighty God. So yes, many persons can read it and relate.
I remember my question on the back of the book.
Yes.
The folks that endorse it, I see you have two of our prominent politicians there.
Yes.
So how does it feel to have them endorse your book?
Oh, it's completely exciting and wonderful. Dr. Drew is presently my doctor. And matter of fact, he was my childhood neighbor. Okay. Right next to me. We
used to be my teacher.
Oh, wow, excellent.
Teacher, yeah.
And so he's affectionately known to me as Umi, because he was right next to me as a child. I know his mom and his sisters, and so it was an awesome experience to have him endorse my book. And the former Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas. He was my childhood doctor, and he's now my adult friend. He is an amazing person. I think that he's a wonderful and powerful inspiration for young people and for us adults as well. And so it was really interesting and awesome for him to have written a review of my book.
Oh, well, so that us ordinary folks can do just that, where can we get a copy of your book?
Well, I sell my books myself, so you can always contact me at 663-4234. That is 663-4234. Or you can get it on Amazon. You go on Amazon, you search the name, the title of the book, Screaming for Your Touch, and it will pop right up. I also have a link that I can share with you all after, so if you want to, broadcast it, I can do that. I also have 2 posters, one for local and one for international. So it's about $14.99 US and $40 EC dollars.
Okay, sounds good.
Very good, very good.
The book, not the price. The price is good. But the book is even better.
This is your first published book. Are you planning to release any other book?
Yes, it's my first published book. And yes, I am working on 3 books. As I said earlier, Divine Sparks, Daily Devotional. The other one is Teaching Beyond the Classroom and Techniques to Lesson Planning. So one godly aspect and the 2 others connect with my career.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully you have repeat purchases, repeat readers.
Yes.
Great. We want to thank you for coming by and sharing your experiences, sharing some passages from the book, and definitely making our day even brighter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for having me.